Okay, so again, it'll be on Bein Hazman. It was a 12:15 for the Parsha share. For those of you who are in the know, I'll be here, Mitzvah Hashem, if anybody's. Okay, we're on page Parsha Vaeschanan, page. Where is it? Oh, boy. What page? 958? I'm way ahead. Okay. So Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to is telling the Jewish people. He says, "Vaeschanan al Hashem ba'isei leimar." I pleaded to Hashem at that point. Now, what does it mean to plead? What was he pleading for? And so let's read another pasuk. Then we'll go into it. Hashem Elokim atah chilos alaras azavdecha zgadlecha v'yodcha chazaka. You've shown me your greatness and your strong hand. Asher mikel b'shamayim v'aretz. Asher yasa k'ma'asecha v'chigvurasecha. Who is like you, mighty in the land, who can do what your actions and your displays of might and Ebrana v'eres haaretz hatova asher be'ver yarden. Let me cross over and see the good land. Hahar hatova zeh, this great mountain v'alevanon in the Beis Hamikdash. The Levanon is a reference to the Beis Hamikdash. So Moshe Rabbeinu is pleading to Hashem, please let me go into the land of Israel. And the first question the Mefarshim ask is, if you look back at the first pasuk, Vaeschanan el Hashem ba'esahi leimor. Now, the word leimor in this context, it means Hashem. I pleaded to Hashem leimor, saying the following. This is what I said. But leimor normally means, like we get all the time in the Torah, it says, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe leimor. Hashem spoke to Moshe to say. So leimor is to communicate it to somebody else. Leimor, transmit what I'm telling you to somebody else. So if that's what leimor means, it makes no sense in the context. Because according to the context here, I pleaded Hashem at that point, leimor. To say to the Jewish people doesn't make any sense. You understand, in context, it makes no sense. So what is what's that? It does change. That's why I think the plain meaning is the plain meaning of leimor is that this is what I said. I'm just telling you what I said to Hashem. But the Mefarshim say, yeah, but how about in the other context, if you want to fit that in, because in Torah, Shivim Panama, there are many different interpretations. How does it fit in? So the commentaries say, so this is a message to the Jewish people. I pleaded to Hashem, leimor, and this is what I'm telling the Jewish people by telling you this. That a person, whenever you have a need, you should plead to Hashem. That's the message. That's what he's trying to communicate. I pleaded to Hashem, leimor, and that's what I'm communicating to you, is that you should do the same thing. Whenever you have an issue in life, do the same thing. Whenever you have an issue in life, so plead to Hashem. Not only that, the Gemara says a person should daven before the trouble comes. A person should daven before the trouble comes. If a person's healthy, they should daven, please Hashem, keep me healthy. Because it's a higher level of tefillah. Right. Person has got parnasa, you should daven, please Hashem, please help me to maintain my parnasa. That's a higher level. Why? Why is that a higher level of tefillah?
Because it's not all depends on you, it depends on him.
So I say, and if a person is poor and he says, please give me parnasa, you also showing it depends on him. Why is this a higher demonstration of showing it depends on him?
More personal practice. I did it. I'm responsible.
There may probably an element of that even while things are going well and we tend to think that it's us, so then we went.
It's before you really need it.
Why is before you really needed a higher level? Right. That's when a person's poor, a person's not well, so then they're desperate. Like doctors always say, listen, there's nothing more. There's nothing more we could. Right. That's a higher level. Because a person's desperate. So doctors always say, well, there's nothing more we can do. It's the only thing we can do now is pray. It's like almost as a fallback position when the doctors have given up, as a fallback position, so you can daven. That's not how we view it as a fallback. First of all, it's not a fallback position. It's a lechatchila, not a b'diavad. And a person's in the hospital, they daven right away that the doctors, first of all, shouldn't kill them. That's the first thing. That the doctor shouldn't mess up too bad. That's the first thing you should daven for. But more than that, when a person's desperate, obviously they're going to resort to tefillah, where there are no atheists in a foxhole. Of course you're going to daven. What else are you going to do? And sometimes you have no choice. Now I really have no choice but to daven. But like Israel says, when a person is working, you go to work every day, you got a paycheck, you're making parnasa, there's almost a sense I'm basically pretty much, I'm in control over here. I'm in control. And if a person is able, when a person is poor or a person's not healthy, he knows he's not in control. Like, what am I going to do? But a person whose things are going well, and he's still willing to pour out his heart and tefillah, that means he's really demonstrating, I recognize, listen, I'm going through the motions over here. I'm going through the motions over here. You know, I have in mind, I try to have in mind, I don't always succeed. In Shmon Esrei, we say in the beginning, Melech, Ozer, Umoshia, Umagein. Now, the basic meaning of Melech, Hashem is the king, can do anything. Ozer, again, tefillah davening also has, there are different interpretations for each word. Whatever you think of and whatever fits is also part of the tefillah. But one of the basic explanations for Ozer means Hashem helps us along with our hishtadlus. Melech Ozer, he helps us along with our efforts. Umoshia, he delivers us, he brings us salvation when our efforts won't help or there are no efforts we could make. Umagein, and he protects us. So I try to have in mind, I don't always, but I try to think of my gesundheit. Melech Ozer, he helps us along with our hishtadlus. Try to have in mind that I know my hishtadlus doesn't matter. And the only reason I'm making hishtadlus is because hishtadlus means effort, is because we have an obligation to make hishtadlus. That's an obligation. Hashem said, you have to make hishtadlus. Melech Ozer, Umoshia, and he helps us when my hishtadlus won't help. And not only that, I have no hishtadlus to make. There is no hishtadlus for me to make. So it's the recognition that under all circumstances, we're basically helpless. Basically helpless. And most things, I'm a little older than you guys, but when you look back in life, you'll see anything that worked out for you probably had nothing to do with you. You basically got out of Hashem's way and let him run it. You didn't interfere too much. That's why it worked out well. And anything that didn't work out well is because you did interfere. Right? So get out of the way. So we have to make hishtadlus because that says, B'zeas hapecha tochal lechem. That was part of the curse of Adam Arisha. He says, by the sweat of your brow, you're going to have to eat bread. That means you have to make hishtadlus. Why? Because that's, you know what hishtadlus really is, gentlemen? You know what hishtadlus, I got to go to work. You're an accountant, so you go to work. Or you're a dentist, and you're a truck driver, and you go to work. You know what that really is? It's a form of physical prayer. It's physical tefillah. I'm doing this because Hashem said to do this in order to earn my parnasa. That's all. Does everybody who works really earn it? Some people are unemployed. Some people have no work till they get a job. Then they really stop working. And when you get a job, boy, this is demanding. I got to work. Better be unemployed and collect your welfare checks. So the first thing that Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us is Beisei Lemor, daven. When you have a trouble, daven, and even before the trouble comes, you should daven. Person should daven. You should be davening now already. That when you're going to want to get married at some point in life, I think. You're probably going to want to get married. Daven now that when it's time to get married, you should find her very quickly and it should go smoothly. I can't make any jokes. What else there should be, right? But what should be included in the package? I can't make any jokes, right? Because somebody got upset with me when they said, why are you telling these guys that money is important? They might not understand that you're joking. Who said I'm joking? So you daven now. Daven now. That's the first thing. Now there's a medrash. Moshe says, "Let me go into the land." So there's a strange medrash here. The medrash says, Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Let me go in." He says, "I can't go in. Let me go in as a bird." I want to go into Eretz Yisrael as a bird. I've often thought about this. Now, I shouldn't tell you my personal musings, but I've often thought if I was any type of wildlife creature, if you could be a wildlife creature, what would you like to be? That's it. How did you know? I figured they got the best chance. I figure eagles probably got the best chance of survival. Lion, anything in the jungle, who knows? You're a lion, there's always a tougher bear coming or lurking or something. I certainly wouldn't want to be a rabbit. So what are my choices? To be an eagle is good. You fly higher than everybody else and nobody can get you. It'll be good. Right now, you never thought of that, did you, Yitz? Gee, if I have to come in, yeah, he's right. The rabbi's right. I want to be an eagle. You never get stuck in traffic. It's a good thing. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, I want to be a bird to go in there to show. What do you want to be a bird for? And what'll be if you're a bird? What do you want to be a bird to go in there to show? Strange medrash, isn't it? What, you're going to appreciate something? What'll be? So you flew in there to show. So what? What's Moshe Rabbeinu really saying here? Obviously, it's not just some kid's story to be a bird. What does Moshe Rabbeinu really want over here? Moshe Rabbeinu knows that the entire creation is a reflection of God's glory. Everything that we see, the way the world works, and what they call photosynthesis, which I still don't know exactly what that was. I just remember hearing about that in 8th grade science. But it's, everything is working in conjunction with everything else. Even the what do they call the ecosystem, and in the jungle, the animal, one animal is created to eat another animal, which then the carcass decomposes and it releases carbon dioxide, and that helps us. It's all worked out to the nth degree. Every creature in the world is a reflection of God's glory. Moshe Rabbeinu says, I can't go into Eretz Yisrael as a human being to serve you. The Gemara says, what Moshe want to go into Eretz Yisrael? To eat the fruit? What Moshe Rabbeinu want to go into Eretz Yisrael? What's so desperate to go to Israel? What, he wanted to go to the hot springs of Tveria? What did Moshe Rabbeinu want to go into Eretz Yisrael for? Because Eretz Yisrael has good produce? And it does, by the way. They export Jaffa oranges. They're good. Right? The figs, the 7 species of Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael has delicious, that's what, the Gemara says that, not me. The Gemara says, Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go, so desperate to go in because he wanted to enjoy the fruits of Eretz Yisrael. The answer is Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to keep the mitzvahs of Eretz Yisrael. Truma, Meiser, all the things that apply in Eretz Yisrael don't apply in Chutz La'aretz. So Moshe Rabbeinu wants to go into Eretz Yisrael because Eretz Yisrael has spiritual benefit. He can serve God at a higher level in Eretz Yisrael. He says, no, I don't want you in Eretz Yisrael. No, you're not going into Eretz Yisrael. So the Mefarshim say, Moshe Rabbeinu says to Hashem, I want to go in as a bird. Why? Because as a bird, I'll be able to spread your glory, being a bird in Eretz Yisrael. People living in Eretz Yisrael see a bird, and every bird is a expansion of Hashem's glory. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, let me go into Eretz Yisrael as a bird. He says, no, you can't. It's a decree. You can't go into Eretz Yisrael. Now watch this. Take a look at Pasuk Chavav. Vayisaber Hashem bi l'manchem. 5 lines from the top. Vayisaber Hashem bi l'manchem. Hashem. Now the articles are going to translate this as got angry. Yeah, there he goes. Vayisaber Hashem bi l'manchem v'lo shama elai. Hashem got angry at me, and he didn't listen to me. Vayomer Hashem elai ravloch. Enough. Al tosef daber elai od b'davar hazeh. Don't speak about this anymore. Moshe Rabbeinu speaking, by the way, is not a conversation. Moshe Rabbeinu speaking means he was davening to Hashem. And there's a medrash that says he davened. Look at the word Vaeschanan. Look at the word Vaeschanan. 6 and 1. Vav is 6. Aleph is 1. Tuf is 400. So what are we up to? 400 and? 7. Ches is another 8. What are we up to? 415. Nun is 50.
65.
And another nun is 50. The nun sofit is also 50. What are we at? 515. Moshe Rabbeinu davened 515 davenings. And if he would have davened one more, he would have gotten into Eretz Yisrael. And after 515, which is the numerical value of Vaeschanan, Hashem said, that's it. And I don't think it means that Moshe Rabbeinu said, okay, Ashrei Hashem v'sachar yoluch hasala, 1. Ashrei Hashem v'sachar yoluch 2. Ashrei Hashem v'sachar 3. That means Moshe Rabbeinu, whatever the davening, whatever tefillah was for Moshe Rabbeinu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, enough, no more davening. And that becomes a command from Hashem. That means, what does that really mean? And what if Moshe Rabbeinu would have done it anyway? What if he would have done it anyway? Do you know that later on we'll see that Moshe Rabbeinu says to the Jewish people, God said I can't go into the land of Israel. So Moshe Rabbeinu went up the mountain to die. Hashem said, go up to the mountain, you're going to die. You can't go into the land of Israel. So most people understand as well, Moshe Rabbeinu is not allowed to go up into the land of Israel. He can't physically go into the land of Israel. The Mefarshim say Moshe Rabbeinu still had free choice. What's stopping me? He could have gone right into Eretz Yisrael anyway. He has a mitzvah not to go into Eretz Yisrael. Not that he's bound up hand and foot. He has a mitzvah now to go. He's got a mitzvah. You're given a command, don't daven. What if I daven anyway? What if I daven anyway? Can't stop me from davening. How can Hashem stop you from davening? So Moshe Rabbeinu has a command now not to daven. You know what that means? It means davening works. Why does Hashem have to stop him? Why did Hashem have to stop? I'm asking a question. Why did Hashem have to stop? Well, just say no. Your kid says, Daddy, can I have more candy? No. Can I have more candy? No. Don't ask anymore. When a father says don't ask anymore, it's not because if you ask one more time, you're going to get it. It's because if you ask one more time, you're going to get it. You're going to get the candy. You get something else. Father just doesn't want to hear you. Hashem says, Moshe, don't ask anymore. And what if he would have? What if he would have? What if Moshe Rabbeinu would have said, but I'm going to ask anyway? Then what would have happened? You know what would have happened? Chances are Hashem would have listened. Why? Why? So this brings us to a bigger philosophical question. Everybody asks, how does davening work? How does davening work? Why does davening work? So I'm sure you've been to shiurim, you've had all sorts of explanations about tefillah and what it does, and it brings down info, this, that, and the other. When is the first tefillah in history? When's the first davening in history, gentlemen? Good question, isn't it? Good question. When's the first davening in history? Intriguing question.
Abraham?
No, way before that. Way before that.
Automation?
Noah?
Now we're talking. Where?
For forgiveness? Yeshua?
No, before that. Take a look in the big blue book all the way back on page. Take a look all the way back on page. Where is it? On page 10. What a fascinating Rashi here. Watch this. This is a potential life changer, by the way. And seriously, this could change your entire attitude towards davening, which then changes your life. I heard about a guy, by the way, who he used to daven. He was in a certain yeshiva. And he would daven mincha in the yeshiva, and then he would take a cab home. Because his schedule didn't allow him to take public transportation. He davened mincha with the minyan in the yeshiva, then he took a cab every day. He paid for a cab to go home. And the reason he took a cab is his schedule didn't allow him to take public transportation. If he take public transportation, it messes up his schedule for the rest of the day. So a friend of his said to him, why are you doing that? That costs you a lot of money. He says, look, based on my schedule, I can't catch mincha later in the afternoon. I have to daven mincha now, the early mincha. And if I take public transportation, I won't be able to. So he said, I don't know that you're, according to halacha, I don't know that you're obligated to spend that kind of money in order to daven this. You'll daven alone. You don't have to give up your money. It is a limit to how much you have to spend in order to catch a minyan. So the guy said to him, listen, you may be right, I don't know what the halacha is. One thing is clear. One good mincha with the minyan pays for all the transportation. I mean, you believe davening works, or you don't believe it works. If davening works, it's the same Ribono Shalom who you're davening to could give you all that transportation money very easily. It's an interesting attitude. You have to have a lot of belief in tefillah in order to have it. But it's an interesting attitude. Go look at over here where the Torah says on page 10, 6th line from the top. Eila toldos hashamayim ve'oretz v'barab. This is the story of the heavens and the earth when it was created. B'yom asos Hashem Elokim eretz v'shamayim, when Hashem made the heavens and the earth. Now watch this. V'chol siach hasoda terem yiheh ba'oretz. There was no vegetation. How does he translate siach hasoda? The trees of the field were not yet on the earth. V'chol esav hasoda terem yitzvach, and the vegetation, the herbs of the field, the vegetation didn't sprout. Ki lo himtir Hashem Elokim ala haaretz, because there was no water. Hashem didn't water the earth, so the stuff wasn't growing. Ve'adam ayin la'avodas ha'adama, and there was no man to work the earth, to work the soil. Now take a look at Rashi. Now take a look at Rashi. It's Pasuk Yud. Where is that? I'm sorry, Pasuk Hey. Where's the Rashi? Oh. 3 lines from the bottom. Right column of Rashi, 3 lines from the bottom. Right column of Rashi, 3 lines from the bottom. Kilo himtir. Everybody see that? Kilo himtir. Because Hashem didn't bring rain, so it hadn't sprouted yet. Umatam lo himtir. Why didn't it rain? Lefi shein adam lavodes adama. There's no man around, says Rashi. Ve'ein makir shel tovam shel gifshamim. He doesn't recognize the benefit of rain. Uksheba adam. When Adam came along, v'yada sheim tzorech la'olam, and he realized the rain is a need, he spalal aleihem v'yardu. There's the first tefillah. Adam Arishon daven for rain. V'tzamchu ha'elonos v'adashani. And then the trees and the what he calls all sprouted. So why did they sprout? Because Adam Rishon daven. First davening in history. First davening in history. Adam Rishon daven, the trees sprouted. Now I got to ask a question. Why does water make trees grow? Why does water make trees grow? This is leaking.
Water is the only liquid that goes out by the roots.
I knew you would say something scientific. And I was hoping you'd say something scientific. And why does that happen?
God made it.
Ah, there we go. When all else fails, invoke the Lord, right? When all else fails, invoke Hashem's name. Remember, the Gemara in Tainus says that Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa's daughter was upset one Erev Shabbos because he said, "What are you upset about?" She says, "Because I got the oil mixed up with the vinegar. I poured vinegar into the candles instead of the oil." So Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa said, "Misha omer l'shemen v'yalik, yomer l'chometz v'yalik." The one who told oil to burn, he'll tell the vinegar to burn. So they lit the candles, the vinegar burned, and it said it burnt all Shabbos, and not only that, they made Havdalah on the flame, on Motzei Shabbos, on vinegar. Try it, gentlemen. Put vinegar in your Shabbos candelabras. All you're going to get is the house is going to smell like vinegar. There ain't going to be no flames. That I could tell you. But Chanina ben Dosa did, and it burnt. Why? Because his attitude was, whoever told, why does oil burn? Okay, somebody give me a word. Give me an explanation using the word combustibility. Yeah, give me one of those, yeah. Why? And why is oil combustible? Maybe marshmallow fluff should be combustible. Put in marshmallow fluff. Let's see what happens over there. What's the answer? It also burns. Yeah. What's the answer? The answer is Hashem said oil should burn. Why does water make trees grow? You give me 1,000,001 scientific explanations. At the end of the day, there's only one reason. Because Hashem said so. Why does tefillah work, gentlemen? That's it. That's it. Hashem said so. You have no question. How come none of you have asked philosophically, why does water work? No one has ever asked that in Ohr Somayach. No one, Rabbi Gottlieb has never been asked by anybody, how does water work? Which you should have learned in high school anyway. But plenty of people ask, how does davening work? Why are you worried about how does water work? Why should what? Wait, water, that's okay. Water works, that's okay. The reason water works is because Hashem said water works. And the same say Hashem said that water works, said you want water, daven, because davening works. And that's the answer to why we daven, not why we daven. How davening works? Because it works. The best explanation I ever heard. Heard this from Daniel Lehrfield, Rosh Yeshivat Beis Yisrael. The best explanation I ever heard. Davening works because it works. Now you want all sorts of philosophical. There are explanations and forces and Hashem and appealing and this and Rachamim and it's beautiful. It's all wonderful. It's great, and you should investigate it. But at the end of the day, it works no differently than anything else that's been created by God. And therefore, Moshe Rabbeinu said, "Don't daven. No more davening." You daven one time, boom, it works. Oh, well. And he goes, don't daven. Now you have a command not to daven. You have a command not to daven. Sometimes in life it happens that if you don't ask me, because if you ask me, I'm going to have to give it to you. I don't even want to be asked. Don't ask me. If you ask me, it's hard for me to say no, so I'd rather you don't ask. Does that ever happen to you in life? Sometimes I just don't ask. You shouldn't have even asked me, because I'm not going to say no. And I'd rather you didn't put me in a position where I got to be the bad guy and say no, because I'm not going to be the bad guy. I'm going to say yes. So don't even ask. So I used to do that with my kids, by the way, with teenage kids. Right? This works. Kid comes over, usually a daughter. Happens with sons also. My daughter would come over, Daddy, could I have money to buy a new sweater? So when I was inexperienced, I say, no, you got plenty of sweaters. And then the next day, you don't understand. At a certain point, you get a little older and you don't want. So I would say to my daughters the following. I'm telling you what I used to do. First, I would say, listen, I've seen your closet. Looks to me like you got plenty of outfits, plenty of sweaters, plenty of shoes, whatever it was you wanted my money for. I'd say, but, if you feel, just because I earned the money, you don't have an opportunity to earn the money, here's the money. You decide. Why should I make the decision over here? If you think, I personally don't think you need it. If you think you need it, here's the money. I did that? I said to the kids, I said, I'll give you the money. The one thing I won't give you anymore is an argument. I won't give you an argument. I'll give you the money. You decide. Originally, what I did was dirty. Originally, I would throw it on the floor and say, here, take the money. That they never get. Then I realized that was dirty. That's hitting blood. That's not. Then I would put it on the table. What?
You wouldn't buy it?
No, they would never take the money off the table. I put the money on the table. I say, look, you feel you need it. I don't think you need it. Do me a favor. I'm not going to argue with you. If you feel you need it, take the money. I promise you I won't bring it up. I'm not going to say you shouldn't have bought it. I'm not going to mention a word about it, but I'm not going to give you an argument. You make the decision. And I generally felt that way, by the way. I generally felt, okay, especially boys. Girls have more time on their hands. They can babysit. They can earn some money. Boys who are in yeshiva, and I want my sons to be in yeshiva, and they're in yeshiva morning to night, they really don't have a chance to earn money. Unless they're bootlegging cigarettes or something in the yeshiva, or illegal contraband, they really don't have a chance to earn money. So I say, okay, here, take it. I don't think you need it. If you think you need it, why should I make the decision? But I'm not going to give you. Now, there were other times where you shouldn't have asked me. You shouldn't have even asked me for that. I'm not going to say no, but you should have known not to ask me. So here, the Torah said, now, look at this pasuk very carefully again, pasuk 26. Vayisaber Hashem bi lemanchem. Does anybody know what a pregnant woman is called in Hebrew? A mi'uberes. Mi'uberes. A pregnant woman. A embryo is called an ubar. The last three letters of the word vayisaber, look at those. Look at that word vayisaber. First word, sixth line. The last three letters, if you take away the vowelization and you revowel it, it spells ubar. Ubar is an embryo. Now you want to hear something remarkable? Here's a coincidence for you. The Gemara says a baby is born after 271, 272, or 273 days since it came from conception. You make a calculation that comes out by 9 times 3, 9 months. Baby is born about, the Gemara says 271, 272, 273. The word ubar is an embryo. Look at the numerical value of the word ayin, beis, resh. How much is an ayin? 70. Beis is 2. Resh is 200. What does it come out to? 272. Smack right in the middle. 271, 272, 273. That's the number. The word uber is the amount of days that it takes a pregnant woman to have the baby. So what is Moshe Rabbeinu saying? Hashem got angry. Why didn't it say vayin af? Hashem. There are other words the Torah could use for anger. Why does it use the word vayisaber Hashem bi lemanchem? Hashem was angry. He was pregnantly angry at me. And he uses a word that sounds like anger, pregnancy. What's the connection between the two over here?
They're extra angry when they're pregnant.
They're not extra angry. They're just extra irritable. They're not extra angry. Good, yes, spot on. The only thing more difficult than a woman being pregnant is the husband being married to a pregnant woman. They can't, I'll tell you, pregnancy is no joke, man. Pregnancy is no joke. They first of all, this idea of morning sickness, that they're nauseous in the morning, they can be nauseous all day. And they can be nauseous all day for several months. I know 2 women for sure, and I think there's a third one, who had such bad nausea during pregnancy. I know 2 for sure, I think there was a third one I heard about, two that I know personally, and there's a third one. They had such bad nausea, they have to be hospitalized and put on a drip. They can't even keep water down. That's how nauseous they are. And it goes on, it could go on all day, every day for a couple of months. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. In about the 7th month, I think, there's not for every, again, none of these apply to all women, but some of them apply to all women. And I think the 7th month or the 8th month, there's a hormone that kicks in and a woman can't sleep. Just can't sleep. She's wide awake. And guess what? If she don't sleep, you don't sleep. And there's what do you call it? They could get a hormonal itch. Their whole body is itchy, and it's hormonal. There's nothing you can do. All they can do is sit in a hot bathtub, which you can't do for 9 months. And then there's the baby can be pressing on the bladder. So there's the sensation of something pressing on your bladder all day. And then after all that, you got to give birth. Shelo asani isha. So Vayisaber means, what would have happened if Moshe Rabbeinu would have gone into the land? If Moshe Rabbeinu would have gone into Eretz Yisrael, it would have been the final redemption. The Beis HaMikdash would have been rebuilt. And if the Beis HaMikdash would have been rebuilt, it would have never been destroyed. And if the Beis HaMikdash wouldn't have been destroyed, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when he got angry, would have taken it out on the people. Tisha B'Av, there's a chesed that Hashem did. The chesed is, Kila Hashem chamaso al eitzim ve'avonim. Hashem took out his wrath on on stones and on wood, on the Beis HaMikdash. This people also suffered. It would have been even worse if the Beis HaMikdash was standing permanently and wouldn't have been destroyed. Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem says, you can't go into Eretz Yisrael. You know why? It's like a pregnancy. The time is not right yet. A woman who's pregnant, you don't want her to give birth prematurely. Any time into the 9th month is good. But you don't want her to give birth prematurely. That baby needs to be fully developed. The baby's born prematurely. Okay, there are preemies nowadays. The preemies are born in the 5th month, the 6th month, and they put them in these, the incubator. They take care of the babies and they develop. But very often there are issues down the line that certain things that didn't develop the way they should. It's healthy for the baby to stay in where you get free womb and board for as long as possible. Right? Stay in as long as possible. Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayisaber Hashem says, is pregnant. It's not time for you to go into Eretz Yisrael. For you to go into Eretz Yisrael now would be premature. In the future, Moshe Rabbeinu will come into Eretz Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu will be involved with the Jewish people. I think there is a source that says he's going to be the Mashiach, or it'll be from his what do you call it? He'll be involved. He'll come back. I'm not sure, but whatever it is, now it's premature, and that's why the Torah used the expression Vayisaber. Okay, one more idea. When he says Amar le Ravloch, at one level is enough. It's enough. You're what do you call it? You're I don't want you here anymore. But Ravloch also means you have a lot. That means Moshe Rabbeinu, whatever the Jewish people accomplish, and whatever the Jewish people do, you share in their mitzvahs. Ravloch, you have a lot of reward coming, Moshe Rabbeinu. He's consoling him. Ravloch, this, no. But you have so much because you are the one who taught and influenced the Jewish people. This is a theme. We've spoken about this in the past, about the idea that a person who influences somebody else, or somebody who has a positive effect on somebody else, you share in his mitzvah. So for example, if one of the guys sees you and you, let's say you give some tzedakah, and another guy, there's a pushka, and you put some coins in the pushka, and the guy sees it and says, oh right, I forgot to give tzedakah today, and then you give tzedakah, you now have shares in his tzedakah, because what you do has influenced him. If you sit in shul and you don't talk during davening, there's another guy in shul who's a chatterbox, and he says, you know what, this guy never talks, really I ought to get my act together, stop talking in shul. You now share in that. Everything that a person does, you share in whatever the Gemara says somebody who teaches somebody else as if he's given birth to them. So if you educate somebody, so you get share in their Torah. So a person asks that everything, so Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, listen, Ravloch, you've got tremendous amount of reward. When we learn Torah right now, Moshe Rabbeinu gets reward because he brought us the Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu brought it down and taught it to the Jewish people. So Moshe Rabbeinu, it's all accumulating. The whole thing. The Gemara in Psachim says that one of the things that there are 7 things nobody knows. One of the things that nobody knows is the judgment in the future, the infinite wisdom of God's judgment in the future. That we think that, well, you did a mitzvah, you get reward from it. You don't know what the ramifications of your mitzvah are. You don't know how far that extends. There are 1,000,001 examples of that sort of thing, where a person does something, and somebody who the last person in the world, the next thing you know, somebody has changed as a result of your behavior. I'll give you one example. There was if you know anything about the history of the Jewish people, primarily the Yemenite Jews came to Israel when they made Aliyah, and the secular Zionists tried to incorporate them into secular Israeli society. They put them in these internment camps, and you could only get employment if you were willing to renounce religion. And they came in, the Yemenites with their curly payas, they made them cut their payas and cut their beards, and they wouldn't let them daven. It was a terrible thing. They kidnapped babies from them. It was a terrible period for the Yemenites and other Sephardi groups. There was an organization called Pe'ilim. Pe'ilim means the activists, which were frum guys, and what happened was the Chazon Ish Zatzal, he was the guiding force for these guys. These guys would try to infiltrate into these internment camps to try to educate and try to help these Yemenites. Now, there were armed guards there. In these camps, they wouldn't let people in and they wouldn't let people out. They were almost in a concentration camp where they were being told, they had mixed dancing and mixed parties, and they're trying to corrupt them and get them to forget about the religion. This was the early in the 50s. And the Chazon Ish sent the Pe'ilim, the activists, to get into the camp. So sometimes they would dig under the fence to crawl in, and sometimes they go over the fence. Sometimes they got beaten up on a regular by the guards to get in. It was a very, very ugly period in the history of the state of Israel. One day the Chazon Ish sent 2 of his yeshiva bachrim, and they went to the camp. There was one famous athlete, was the famous internment, or the most famous camp. And they get to the fence, the guards are there. So they walk up and back the fence waiting to see if there's a break where they could get in. And the armed guards are there and they have no opportunity. So they went for 3 or 4 hours walking back and forth, these yeshiva bachrim with beards. And they wanted to get into the camp. They couldn't get into the camp. So they came back after about 4 hours of futility. They came to the Chazon Ish, and they said to the Chazon Ish, it was just a waste of time and energy. We got there, we never had a chance, we couldn't get in. The Chazon Ish said, you did what you have to do. You did what you have to do. That's our job. We're not responsible for results, we're responsible for effort. Okay. About 20 years later, 30 years later, one of these yeshiva bachrim is at a wedding. And he was attending a wedding. There's an old Yemenite man there, with the payas, with the really one of these, and they sit down and they start schmoozing. And he said, the Yemenite guy starts telling about, we came up from Yemen, I came with my family, and they wanted me. And eventually they told me that you have to cut your beard. You cut your beards, there are no more religious Jews in Israel, there are no more beards. And they were pressuring me, and I refused to succumb to the pressure. And they were trying to pressure me. And one day I was thinking to myself, you know what, I think I'm going to have to cut off my beard, and maybe I'll become it. And I went out for a walk that day, and I'm looking over the fence, and I see these 2 yeshiva guys with beards walking back and forth, pacing back and forth for a few hours. I said, hey, they got beards. I'm not cutting my beard. I'm not compromising anything. My whole family's religious today because of that. So, these guys thought it was an exercise, and now they have reward. They share in the reward of an entire family becoming from. That's what the Torah says. Hashem says, Rav Loch, Moshe Rabbeinu, you got a lot of reward. Right, gentlemen, listen, the Gemara says that more than the calf wants to nurse, the mother wants to nurse it. You ever hear that expression? More than the calf wants to nurse. That's a reference to people who, guys want to learn Torah, but teachers want to teach Torah. That's the person needs somebody to teach. If without students, the teacher doesn't have. So I have to thank everybody because, you give me something to do, otherwise, who knows where I'd end up. So by showing up, even in, so I appreciate the fact that you show up, listen to the shiurim, and hopefully we all get something out of it. And so tomorrow there won't be a shiur. Maybe there will. There is an outside chance. You talk to Rabbi Geffen, but chances are, most likely there will not be. I won't be here tomorrow. Tisha B'Av, obviously not. Tisha B'Av will be the main base fetish for the Tisha B'Av day, the shiurim. And then we will resume Be'ezer Hashem on Wednesday. Okay.